Karen, welcome. Thank
Oh,
you
I'm
for
so
being
excited to
here.
be here with you, Lauren. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, yeah. In the crazy world of LinkedIn, of course, which you are more than an expert and all-star in, is where we connected. And I couldn't help but reach out and just wanted to like dive into this world of LinkedIn with you. We have so many clients that are asking us about social media platforms and how to use them and get others involved. And LinkedIn is such a gold mine. Um, let's kind of just start with like you and where you got to like why
Yeah.
LinkedIn? How did you find yourself here? Tell us a little bit more before we get into
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
tipsy
So,
break.
my background predates social media a little
Mhm.
bit. So, I was kind of raised in old school marketing, right? Timeless marketing, like
Yes.
relationship marketing. And when social media became a thing, it was a lot of fun because I really love kind of like the right brain, left brain approach to that. Like there's a huge relationship, right brain, left, thing, but also left brain. What's the strategy? Like how does this
Yeah.
work? What's the tech? All that other stuff. So right up my alley. But what I found pretty quickly was that I was always driving people back to LinkedIn because at the end of the day, the further we get in the world and history, the more people want to know about you. They want to know about the people they do business with, right?
Mhm.
50 years ago or 40 years ago, people didn't care about the guy who sold them copiers, right? And like who he was and what he did. The guy just came in and sold them a copier, but now we care. Now we're
Right.
Googling people, we're checking people out before we work with them. So I was finding myself driving people back to LinkedIn because, you know, there was a time that social media in general was a big thing. It still is, obviously.
Yes.
But what I was when I would ask people, well, where do you get most of your clients from? 99% of the time they'd say referrals. I got
Mm,
my biggest accounts from referrals. And they're
yes.
spending all their marketing dollars and all their money on, Pinterest or TikTok or something. And I'm
Right.
not saying don't do that. I'm saying, well, let's shore up this referral thing first. Let's
Mhm.
make sure that we're getting all the juice we can out of that. And
Mhm.
then let's expand from there because I think we can get caught up, or I could get caught up in shiny object syndromes. And I found a lot of my clients were doing the same thing.
Yes.
So I started to just keep bringing people back to LinkedIn and say, okay, well, first let's talk about you. Let's talk about who's on your calendar. Let's talk about, the biggest opportunities, not the, $5 thing to the $50 thing to the $100 thing, but what's the $50,000 thing,
Right,
right?
right.
Like, what are the biggest opportunities? And those conversations were happening on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So, over the years, I really niched down even further to really be able to support people with that because I think
Mhm.
that there's a big misconception out there that LinkedIn is just the place for your online resume.
Mhm.
Your resume is all about who you used to be. The world we live in now should be the brand of you and should be
Right.
portraying your brand into the future, like dressing for the job you want, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's really a shift in thought in the energy of how you approach LinkedIn from it's a resume and I just shove it in front of people to this is where my personal brand lives and who are the people I have. I want cool people on my calendar, right? How
Yeah.
do I make that happen? And that all happens on LinkedIn.
So tell us more about that, right? Because I feel like sometimes it can be intimidating. People are like, I
Mhm.
don't even want to put myself out there. What do I
Yeah.
even post about? Like, why should I post, And also, like privacy issues too, right? I mean, how are you helping folks to put themselves out there to get the right people on their calendar? And can you just share a little
Right.
bit more about that as a maybe
Yeah.
what a lead gentle, if you will?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, there's a lot of people out there, and I'm sure everybody listening is shaking their heads right now, going, "I can get you leads, I can get you leads, I can get you leads, I can get you leads." And at the end of the day, of course, who doesn't want like a magic wand to get us leads, right? But at the end of the day, that's not where the value is. Random, unqualified people on my calendar do not help me, right?
Uh,
So I want to kind of just ignore that
mhm.
and focus on the reality of again back to the who are the people you want to have on your calendar. So how do you take control of that? Well, the first thing you can do is take control of your brand with your
Right.
profile, having a
100%.
profile that positions you as if you're peers with the most influential people in your industry. And that so many people underestimate themselves, when we're like, one of the things my company does is write LinkedIn profiles. It's the first thing we do when we work with people. Like,
Right.
it's hard to write your own profile. We will
Oh
do it for
gosh, it
you so
is.
that
You're in the
we can
forest.
yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
so so you've got to take, but it's something you can do
Right.
because when people Google you and they are, well, searching, we'll just use the word search, no matter what search
Right.
engine you're using, people search if they're going to invest in you in any way, shape, or form, even if it's 10 minutes of their time to get on a call with you,
Right.
they're checking you out first.
Right.
And you can control what they see by creating a LinkedIn profile that positions you as somebody that they're like, wow, I really do want to get to know this person. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not about bragging, it's more about owning all of the things you've done. So
Mm-hmm.
many people that I speak to come to where they are today with many, many years of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
But often they're in a new thing. Maybe it's a new job. Maybe they were in corporate and now they're starting their own consulting firm or something, right? So they don't necessarily feel like they have the experience, or they don't necessarily feel like they have, maybe there's a little imposter syndrome, right? But
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
got that expertise that doesn't
Yes.
go away, right? So we help them craft a profile so that they're leaning into that expertise and showing up like they're worthy of these conversations. Because before you can be worthy of people's investment, you have to be worthy of the conversation, right?
Yes. Yes.
So being really, I like to call it micro targeted with that,
Mm-hmm.
not times 100, times five, maybe a week,
Mm-hmm.
with five people you'd love to see on your calendar by the end of the month, and, reaching out to 20 people to see if we can get five of them on the calendar, never in a cold calling way. Oh, there's never a
Right.
reason to do cold call with this. It's just shifting your strategy from like throwing a lot of spaghetti at the wall to seeing what sticks, to just taking a step back, taking a beat and saying, well, how do I get to this person? Who do they know that I know? Maybe we went to the same conference. Like, for example, Lauren, maybe somebody, has been listening to your show.
Mm-hmm.
Connect with Lauren on LinkedIn and say, hey, Lauren, loved episode 52, blah, blah, blah. Love when you talk about
Right.
this or
Right.
that,
Right.
right? That's such a great way to build a
Mm-hmm.
relationship with you if they think you're somebody that they want to have on their calendar. So find ways to do that, but you will take them more seriously if they come to you with a profile that's been done first. Right?
Yes.
Otherwise, if it's like dust bunnies are on it, you're not gonna be so quick to say, sure, let's talk. You're gonna be like, I
Yeah,
don't know,
that's right. If it's
right?
cold, right? Even if it's a warm outreach, people are going, wait, who is this person, right? Is this the right fit?
Right,
That's such a
right.
great point too, because I feel like, there's the immediate, we have to fix our website, we have to do all these things. But as someone who's potentially doing business development and using LinkedIn as a tool, I want to call it an easy quick fix, right? But I liked what you said earlier about you're really owning it,
Yep.
right? And you're really putting that energy out there to really show off what you've done. But then this idea of giving that facelift to your profile, if you will, but then really
Yeah.
doing that warm outreach, right? It's not about this mask
Right.
piece
But
of it.
also, Lauren, it's really important to remember too that when you're creating your profile,
Hmm.
and the brand of you, right, that you're projecting into the future, people don't really care about you. They care about what you could do for them, right?
Hmm.
So an example I use, and those of you that are listening that have licenses around this is going to say, I can't say that, but I'm going to say it anyway. You modify this how you will. But if you say like, I'm a financial planner and I've
Right.
got all these great letters after my name, you're just like everybody else on LinkedIn. But if you say, I'm a financial planner with all these great letters after my name, and my goal is to help more women over 50 create enough wealth to retire at 60,
Yep.
right? You're telling me the same thing, but you're telling me about you, but you're making it about me.
That's
And
right.
now you're going to be like, okay, tell me more about that, right?
Yep.
You're standing out from the crowd. And in this world that we live in right now, it's so noisy. The digital space is so noisy. If you don't stand out, you're invisible.
So
So you
good.
have to stand out. And that's one way, is by thinking about the people you want to attract to your profile. What do they care about? And that's
Yeah.
what I want you to put forward when you're creating the profile of you. Still make it about you, but couch it in a way that it's telling me why I should care about that.
Yes. So it sounds like that's an opportunity for improvement, right? That you're seeing as a common thread. Are there
Mhm.
other things that you see as kind of common tripwires that folks are coming into when you're looking at kind of their presence on LinkedIn and opportunities for improvement?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting. We've been algorithmed to death, right? Like the algorithm, it changes, which we post 100 times, and like, I don't know, it's all gets melded in this, what does an algorithm do? Place in this cloud in the sky, right? Across
You
all the
know.
different profiles. The thing about LinkedIn that has been consistent, and it can change the minute these words come out of my mouth, but the thing that's been consistent about LinkedIn is the algorithm favors people that are more intent, have a focused approach to their content.
Hmm.
So you do not, in fact, if you post more than once a day,
Yeah.
LinkedIn will reduce the reach of your posts, right? So don't worry, like don't overthink this,
Yes.
right? It's all part of the being genuine. Just be genuine. you don't have to have this big, complicated posting strategy. Right?
Yes.
If you have a piece of content that you could publish every week or whatever that looks like for you, talk about it on Monday, talk about it on Wednesday, on Tuesday, put something out there that says, have we met yet? Let's talk. Let me tell you more about me. On
Mhm.
Thursday, maybe post a question and that's it. You're good. You don't have to have this really complicated content
Right.
strategy on LinkedIn.
Right.
You want
Right.
to have an intentional
Mhm.
content strategy on LinkedIn, but it doesn't have to be complicated and extensive. It can be
Yes.
simple and powerful.
Yes.
And you can now schedule a post directly into LinkedIn. So you can like pick a half an hour once a week and schedule a couple posts and you're done for the week.
Yeah.
Right. And you're done. And now you just go in and be you and engage and, start to build relationships.
Can you talk a little bit more about the engagement piece? What are you encouraging, folks to do? Is it direct messaging that's authentic? Is it just engaging on posts? I mean, of course, I would assume that it's driven by the end goal, right? But I'd love to hear a little bit more about that
Yeah.
and what
Yeah.
advice you're giving to folks.
Well, I mean, listen, imagine yourself in a room, like a networking room, right? This is networking, right? So if you're in a room and you're networking and all you're doing is standing on stage with a microphone saying, listen to my podcast, watch my thing. But like nobody's listening after a while, like they're like, oh, here she comes again. She's gonna tell us about a
Just
podcast
more
again.
noise.
Nobody
That's such
wants
a
to talk to that person.
yeah,
They want to
yeah.
talk to the people that are interested in them, right? So schedule some content and then engage with the people on that content. But at the same time, you know, again, I talked about being intentional. Like if you've got a list of 5 people you want to talk to before the end of the month, then make sure that you're like, there's an opportunity. Well, everything I'll talk about here is in the free version of LinkedIn, right? There's an
Mhm.
opportunity in the free version of LinkedIn to like ring their bell. And what that
Mhm.
means is there's a bell underneath my headline. And if you click that bell, that means anytime Karen posts, you will be notified of that post. So if those are 5 people you want to get on your calendar, then ring their bell so that when
Yeah.
they post, you're notified of it and you can jump into those conversations, right? And you can just
Mhm.
be a part of their world and provide them value and support them and share their stuff and engage with them. When you're doing this on I if you think of like one great opportunity for yourself, right? Just
Mhm.
one great opportunity. Let's say I'm not even going to pick a dollar amount, but let's say it's a $10,000 or $100,000 opportunity, like
Right, right,
something
right.
juicy. Just think of like, okay, that's it. I'm solely focused on that. Who are the people I need
Mhm.
to get that? And then land that and then do it again. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, so you don't have to talk to 1,000 people to do that, right? You
Mhm.
just need to think about who very specifically is the right people to speak to about this. Ring
Mhm.
their bell so you get notified when they post and jump into those conversations. And if the people that you want to speak to are not on LinkedIn, then find new people. Do you know what I mean? There's
Mhm.
plenty of people on LinkedIn. So when people say, "Oh, my people aren't on LinkedIn," I'm like, "How many people do you need?" Because there's a lot of people on LinkedIn.
There's
You
a
know,
lot of people.
find,
Yes.
Great, find new people. Find the people that are there and are active, and be a part of those conversations. And that
Mhm.
right there is probably the key, a big key to success. And being a part of those conversations doesn't mean saying great post. It means
Right.
saying, you know what, I never thought about what you talk about in the second paragraph, never occurred to me. I think of it this way. You
Yes.
do it that way. That's really interesting. I'm going to try that next time. Like something like
Yeah.
that is a true conversation. And again, you're looking to build actual relationships with people that can give you referrals. And by the way, when I say I want you to get on the phone with people, sometimes you're engaging in conversations with people that when you get on the phone with them, the conversation you want to have is, here's what I do, who do you know?
Right, right, right.
Because now that's where this strategy becomes magnetic, right? We're still doing outreach, but
Mhm.
we're doing outreach to people that can send people to us, because that then is slam dunk opportunities as opposed to cold pitching and cold objection handling and things like that, right?
Yep.
So conversations around, listen, you got an audience of these kind of people. I'm looking for these kind of people. I'd love, do you have anybody that I should know anybody that I should talk to? And by the way, what are you looking for? Let me see if I can introduce you to anybody. This is
Mhm.
this is world-class networking. And this is what people that are, multiple 7-figure business owners are doing. They're
Mhm.
not throwing spaghetti at the wall and talking to 100 people hoping one of them is going to be a client.
Mhm. So with that, we've got some of our clients where it's mostly folks that are they're in the C-suite, right? And they go, we've got a great sales team, but we want to encourage them to use LinkedIn more. Some of them are using it, some of them aren't. Some of them really don't see the power of it. What
Mhm.
advice would you give to that audience to be able to help encourage their team to be able to better
Such a
utilize the
good question. It
platform.
is such a good question because, you know, I mean, I work with corporations and I've had corporations hire me and where I've literally said to them, you know, I want to take your money, but this isn't enough. Like I can, if you are not like the company, it starts at the top, right? The company has to model this behavior. They
Mm,
have to invest in the profiles. They have to be engaging. And by the
yep.
way, when I say invest in the profiles, I mean all the way down to the inside people, not just the outside people, right? If the, you know, if you're a company and part of your success is your you know, your collections, right? If your accounts receivable person has a great LinkedIn profile and is
Mm,
connecting with the people, your customers on LinkedIn, it's
yes.
a lot easier for her or him to collect that money if they have a personal relationship than if she's a faceless person they don't know, right? So
That's right.
this is what I mean by diving deep. And when companies embrace this thing, and companies are coming around to this, but there's still companies out there going, well, why would I pay for my team's LinkedIn profile? They're all just going to go get new jobs. Like that is not how this works anymore. If you invest in your team's LinkedIn profiles and make sure everybody's showing up like rock stars and they all get new jobs, it isn't because of their profiles. You know what I mean? It's the company.
Mhm.
There's something else you need to look at.
Mhm.
Um, when you are investing in this and helping them build relationships from this place of, you know, wanting them all to be rock stars,
Yes, yes.
every like when I believe that if you focus on the company brand, of course that's important, but when you focus on the brands of the individuals in the company, it immediately elevates the company brand, right? And
Oh,
they're all attached to the company page on LinkedIn.
yeah.
So it's not just about encouraging your people to use LinkedIn. It's about creating a company standard, maybe, right? A
Mhm.
company policy that says, here's what we're looking for. Here's what, you know, we post on our company page, you know, once a day, and we would love you to share 2 of these posts a week with your audience, but with your perspective, with your point of view. Encourage your clients to come to our events and use it, you know, encouraging their all of their employees to connect on LinkedIn with all of their customers, right?
Yeah.
This is how it's best used, not just use LinkedIn to get more leads,
Right.
right?
Yes.
It's to deepen the relationship so you get more referrals.
I hear what you're saying. So we were on a chat actually the other day and we had it's actually with one of our clients and he dropped this great line that was just basically we're all in sales, right? It doesn't matter if
Yes,
you actually are in sales, but everyone on the team represents the ethos of the company and the brand
yes,
to a certain degree,
Lauren, so true.
especially when you're in customer service, like when that's part of your core
Yes,
differentiator. So I feel like it's inspirational to hear you say, you know, it's not just about the salespeople and about sort of the that face, but it really is this effort across the board of
yeah,
how do we show up, right? And the brand
yes,
consistency. So, but I think part of the key to that is the authenticity that you were alluding to earlier,
yes,
right? Because people
yes.
aren't brands, right? We're each our individual person.
Exactly. And each
So respect
individual
that.
profile is going to be very different from the next person's, even if they're in the exact same role, because they have different history. Right. So, you know, I have a quick funny story about what you're talking about with everybody in the company. Years and years ago, when I owned a company, one of my clients was Aerosol Shoes,
Mm-hmm.
and they were in New Jersey, and their company policy is we sell shoes. And
Uh-huh.
every time you went there, the minute you went in, the receptionist said to you, how many pairs of shoes do you need today? When
Yes.
you went to get to the C-suite, you had to go through the warehouse to buy
Uh-huh.
their shoes. Like every single person's the first thing on their task list was sell a pair of shoes today. Do you know what I mean? No matter who they were. And I have never forgotten that because
Interesting.
to me it was, I mean, they're still in business. How many, you know, it's probably 30 years later, right? They're still
Yes,
in business.
yes.
So it is so true that but sometimes we can get in these little tunnels, right? And
Yeah.
forget what's at the
Your
heart of why
department
we're in
branches.
business.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like, I mean, it goes into bigger conversations around just communicating the company ethos and brand and
Yes.
upsell and cross
Yes.
sell. And I mean, that happens across, you know, everyone that you would interact with. So I hear you in utilizing LinkedIn as a platform to really show up in
Yep.
those ways across the board, not just from sort of that inbound lead and then being able to have that conversation.
And we have this tool now that we didn't have 20, 30 years ago,
Yeah.
right? Like people will leave the company that they're at, go to a different company, and then come back to you and say, hey, I worked with you guys when I was at ABC company. I'm now at XYZ company, and they need to know how great you are, right? But
Mhm.
that will only happen if you're connected. You know, if they know, if you're communicating. And honestly, you have to do it from a place of confidence in your team and the people that work for you. If you do it from a place of I'm afraid that they're going to leave and do something else and bring my clients with them, that's
It's
the
the
wrong
right.
energy.
Yeah, I hear
Yeah,
what you're saying. It's the wrong place to be operating from.
exactly.
So, okay, to sort of deviate the conversation a little bit, we talked a little bit about the algorithm, and I feel like so many folks have questions about that. And I absolutely hear you on being authentic. Is there anything just to help folks understand the algorithm of how it works? Like, is there any differences that you could talk to from like the company page versus an individual
Yeah,
page
yeah,
or anything like that, just to sort of, because it is a beast, right? And it sort of feels like a very black box. So,
yeah,
be curious to get your thoughts on that and if that
yeah.
impacts any ways that people show up or don't. Not
So
to gamify it, but I just
yeah,
want to
no, no,
hear a
no, I
little bit
get it.
more.
So there's your company page and then there's your personal profile, right?
Right, right.
I can just, I'll just give you my, like, I teach this stuff. So I happen to have a lot of connections on my personal profile because I teach this stuff, right? Let's say there's like, I don't know, 15 or 18,000 connections that I have on LinkedIn personally. I don't have 500 on my company page. And
Right.
I say that because a lot of people put a lot of time and effort into their company page. Say, how do we make it work? How do we make it work? The vast benefit of LinkedIn is the personal profiles, the relationships. It doesn't mean you don't want to use your company page and that you absolutely want to use your company page,
Yep.
but you need to manage your expectations around what you're going to do with that company page. The company page is great to be the hub of content for your team. It's a great place for all your team to be connected. So all of your employees can be found through your company page and things like that. So you want to set it up properly. You can use your company page to advertise. There's now an opportunity to boost, the company can boost posts of the employees and their personal pages if they choose to allow it. So there's a lot of interaction between the two, but understand that the vast benefit comes from the personal profile
Yes.
and the company page. You've got to really be careful too, because the company page is, you don't know who's posted. Like if I have access to, if you give the access to the company page to everyone, you don't know who posted it,
Yeah.
right? You just
Yeah.
know that somebody posted it. So you have to be careful with who you give access to that to. And I speak to like nonprofits and things like that that might have a board and gave access to a lot of people. And then you're like, wait a minute, what are they posting on this page? Like
Yeah.
this is not really relevant to what we do. It's more relevant to their personal thing,
Yeah.
right? So just be really careful that you have a strategy around the company page. Post there consistently. You don't have to post there regularly. But post there consistently so it looks like that people know you're active. You probably can copy and paste from your website to get that set up if you haven't set it up yet. You absolutely want to do it. But then your strategy really is around, and how do we use the information there?
Yep.
How do we have the people use the information there? Because
Absolutely.
if I post on my personal page,
Mhm.
potentially those 15 to 18,000 people will see it. If I
Right.
post on my company page, the most potential I have is that the couple hundred people on it are going to see it.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right.
So if you've only got 25 people on your company page, you can post there all you want, but nobody's going to see it besides those 25 people unless your team is sharing it and you're trying to grow the visibility of that page.
Yeah. Such good advice. Appreciate that insight. It's great. I know we're wrapping up here. I feel like it's just flown by. I feel it always does. This is a great conversation, and I'm excited to continue to follow all that you've got going on. I know you're talking recently. I think it was at Finovate, the
Mhm.
conference. Was it a few weeks ago or so? And then I know you do your Thursday LinkedIn the mini series, the live.
Actually, that's been daily. I've been doing it daily
Oh,
for
it's been
September and
daily.
October.
Holy
It's kind of
smokes!
like a new thing. I'm always testing things so that I can share them with my
Yes,
audience. So I
yes.
decided I wanted to do some daily video. I did it every day in September, and now I'm doing it every day in October. Well,
Mhm.
we'll see how long I go. But it's been a
Okay.
lot of fun, and it's been an interesting experiment for me, and I'm really loving it in a lot of ways. I don't know that I would recommend it. It's certainly not something I'm going to do forever because it doesn't make sense, but I'm always testing, like, again, testing the algorithm, right? And I
Right.
think that the benefit of that is going to be less about the daily posting and more about having that content, right? And having that
Yes.
playlist of content. But I do have a weekly podcast also called Good
Okay.
Girls Get Rich. So that comes
Yes.
out weekly.
Oh my goodness, so fun. So with that, I know we mentioned right before the call that you also have is a LinkedIn marketing sort of like personal style assessment for how you would
Yeah.
personally kind of be a good fit to what's the right style for you? Is that right? For how to engage with
Yeah.
people?
So you know what I found was, I found like sometimes we don't realize sometimes that we're speaking in a silo to the same people, right? And the people
Right,
that
right,
listen to my podcast, or the people that, that are in my world right now, they kind of already know how to get started on LinkedIn because they've been following me. So I
right,
really wanted to have something that people that are just like, Karen, I know that there should be something I can do, but I don't even know where to start. So I just do nothing. So we
right.
created an assessment very recently, like over the summer in 2023, to help you get started. You know, some people are more analytical and they're more comfortable talking about white papers, and other people are more
Right.
relationship based. So we created a what's your LinkedIn marketing style assessment that you can take, and it'll give you some tips on things to focus on that are your strength, but also maybe some things to watch out for that might be your weaknesses,
Mhm.
and just to get you started.
Mhm.
And because I want people to just dip their toe in. I know that at this moment in time, this is where the opportunity is in digital marketing. And it breaks my heart a little bit how many people are leaving money on the table because they don't know where to start. So we created
Mhm.
this assessment to help you understand how you can take the first couple steps and just, tiptoe into it and see how you're feeling.
Oh, great. Well, we'll make sure to include the link below in case folks want to check it out.
Awesome.
And this has been really fun. Thanks for giving us a sneak peek into your world and sharing knowledge about this platform. And there's some really great takeaways. I think that, I think I mean, as an immediate, like just looking at your profile, right? And making sure that you're owning that platform. So thank you again.
Exactly. Exactly. And on my podcast and on these mini marketing minis I'm doing, there's tons of free tips for your profile there.
Perfect. And for those of you that are listening, we'll make sure to include those links below. And we'll include Karen's LinkedIn profile as well. Thanks again.
Awesome. Thanks, Lauren.